Welcome to Black History Matters 2024. This is the fourth installment of an educational series produced by the National Abolition Hall of Fame and Museum. These short educational videos are meant to provide an introduction to topics important to our understanding of Black American history, but also the larger history of the African diaspora across the Americas and the world. I'm pleased to welcome you to today's episode, A Cultural Awakening, the Harlem Renaissance. The Harlem Renaissance, a Black cultural artistic movement that flourished in Harlem, New York, during the 1920s and early 1930s, had a profound impact on American society, literature, music, and art. Emerging in the aftermath of World War I and amidst the backdrop of the Great Migration being a period in American history during the early 20th century, when millions of African Americans migrated from the rural South to the urban North and West in search of better economic opportunities, escape from racial violence, and to seek freedom from Jim Crow laws. The Harlem Renaissance became a beacon of Black cultural expression, challenging racial stereotypes and celebrating African American identity, largely formed by the groups of African Americans who made this migration from the South to the North. One of the most significant impacts of the Harlem Renaissance was its role in shaping perceptions of African American culture and identity. Through literature, poetry, music, and the visual arts, the Harlem Renaissance artists and intellectuals portrayed the richness and complexity of Black experiences, challenging prevailing notions of Black inferiority and asserting the value and dignity of African American life. Literature played a central role in the Harlem Renaissance, with writers such as Langston Hughes, Zora Neale Hurston, and Claude McKay producing works that captured the vibrancy and diversity of Black life. Their writings explored themes of racial prejudice, social injustice, and the quest for identity, resonating with the audiences both within and beyond the African American community. For example, Their Eyes Were Watching God by Zora Neale Hurston follows the journey of Janie Crawford, an African American woman as she navigates through relationships, self-discovery, and societal expectations in the early 20th century Florida. Through Janie's experiences, the novel portrays the complexities of the Black experience during the Jim Crow era, particularly for Black women, during a time marked by racial oppression and gender discrimination. Janie's search for autonomy and fulfillment challenges traditional gender roles and societal norms, reflecting the broader struggle for agency and recognition within the African American community. Thus, literature was a fundamental way for someone of African descent to comment on these racially driven realities. In addition to literature, music was another integral component of the Harlem Renaissance, with jazz emerging as a quintessential expression of the era. Jazz musicians like Duke Ellington, Louis Armstrong, and Bessie Smith revolutionized American music, blending African American musical traditions with elements of blues, ragtime, and improvisation. Their innovative sounds captivated audiences worldwide, transforming jazz into a symbol of cultural innovation and artistic freedom. Louis Armstrong, renowned as one of the most influential figures in jazz history, played a central role in breaking down racial barriers in the world of entertainment and music. Through his talent as a trumpeter, vocalist, and performer, Armstrong challenged prevailing racial stereotypes and norms, captivating audiences worldwide with his charisma and his talent. As a Black artist in a predominantly white industry, Armstrong's success and prominence helped pave the way for other Black musicians, opening doors and creating opportunities for African Americans to enter and excel in the world of entertainment and music. He toured globally, serving as a cultural ambassador for the United States during the Cold War, and his films and television appearances, along with his iconic recordings like What a Wonderful World, solidified his status as a cultural icon and trailblazer for African American musicians, especially in the time in which they struggled to get slots on TV and to get booked because of their race. The impact of the Harlem Renaissance extended beyond the arts, influencing political and economic movements aimed at advancing civil rights and racial equality. The cultural and intellectual ferment of this era provided a platform for African American activists and thinkers to challenge systemic racism and advocate for social change, laying the groundwork for the civil rights movement of the 1950s and 1960s. Others recognized the Renaissance power to promote civic rights, like voting, by amplifying African American voices and advocating for political engagement within the community. Through literature, art, and activism, the Harlem Renaissance figures encouraged African Americans to assert their rights as citizens, especially including the right to vote. Writers and activists such as W.E.B. Du Bois, also co-founder of the NAACP, used their platform to advocate for civil rights and political participation, inspiring African Americans to demand equal rights and representation in the political process. Therefore, the Harlem Renaissance served as a catalyst for increased political awareness and mobilization. During the Harlem Renaissance, economic progress was evident through the flourishing of Black-owned businesses and cultural institutions in Harlem. The establishment of venues like the Cotton Club and the Apollo Theater provided platforms for Black performers and entrepreneurs, contributing to economic growth and job opportunities within the community. Additionally, the rise of Black publishing houses such as the National Urban League's Opportunity magazine created avenues for Black writers and intellectuals to showcase their work and fostered entrepreneurship in the literary field. These developments not only stimulated economic activity, but also empowered African Americans to assert their talents and contributions to American society through Black-owned businesses. All in all, the Harlem Renaissance was a transformative period in American history, reshaping perceptions of race, culture, and identity, while laying the foundation for future social and artistic movements. Its legacy continues to inspire generations of artists, writers, and activists to celebrate the richness and diversity of the African American experience in the way that it has been portrayed in the media, so that others may also have a small window into the life of the diverse experiences of African Americans in the country. Thank you for joining us today for this presentation on A Cultural Awakening, the Harlem Renaissance. On your screen, you will see a link to a Google form. This link is also available in your video description, and they will take you to a survey where you can leave feedback about your experience with this video. Your feedback helps us plan for future events and to secure funding, so we really appreciate it if you can take a few minutes to fill it out. Once again, thank you so much, and we look forward to seeing you at our next presentation.